More neighbors testified today, but the really nitty-gritty came from a Bartlett police officer and a Memphis police sergeant who took the stand.
I put up the crime scene tape around the vehicle.
That is now retired patrol officer Teresa Brignoli of the Bartlett Police Department. She was one of the first officers on the scene when Tina Caronna's body was found stuffed in the back seat of her pickup truck.
How long were you there on the scene?
It's probably a couple hours. We had to wait for the wrecker to get there.
She says the only thing she was in charge of that day were crime scene logs. In other words, she was in charge of writing down what time officers arrived and left the scene. But when the defense showed Brignoli a crime scene log, she said she didn't write it.
Is that in your handwriting?
That does not appear to be my handwriting.
Okay.
All the defense has to do is prove there is reasonable doubt to give their client, Joe Caronna, a not guilty verdict. On day one, the jury heard about Caronna's affair and investment fraud. The prosecution says he killed his wife because she knew too much. The jury, mostly women, heard Caronna's defense attorneys push witnesses about specific details they could remember on that fateful day of October 2008.
You remember Joe leaving the house in the red Chevelle sometimes after the truck had gone?
Sitting here today, no, I don't. But apparently, my statement says that I did 4 years ago.
A Memphis police officer took the stand. Now retired Sergeant Connie Justice interviewed Joe Caronna at his home before investigators told him his wife's body was discovered.
Mr. Caronna was obviously very distraught. He was breathing very heavily. He was sweating profusely on his face.
And when he learned police had found her body,
he immediately became angry, upset.
Coming up at 6, we'll hear more from that Memphis police officer and a very close friend of Joe Caronna who broke down in tears when he testified. Reporting live in downtown Memphis, Jackie Orozco, ABC 24 News. Believe it or not, the trial is still going on at this hour. It started around 9:30 this morning. Earlier this afternoon, Joe Caronna's longtime friend, Gary Hathaway, spent 2 hours on the stand. He was very emotional as he recounted the hours before Tina Caronna's body was discovered and the hours after. He says Tina's husband never shed any tears through it all. Gary Hathaway was Joe Caronna's best friend. Their 10-year friendship involved their love of cars.
I helped him with some work on some of his cars.
Hathaway says he drove with his wife and Joe to see Tina's body at the coroner's office. 30 minutes after IDing the body, Hathaway says Joe made a disturbing call.
He was talking to somebody, and he was saying, "Yeah, it was Tina. Yeah, I've got closure now. No, don't send flowers. Tina don't like flowers." Looked in the mirror, and I had my wife, and she was looking back at me. And that would be the beginning. Not close.
Tina's body was discovered about half a mile from Joe's storage shed. Hathaway says Joe didn't act normal when his wife disappeared. He says Joe never wanted to go to the police or to the media to report her missing.
Never seen a tear come since this happened.
A Memphis police officer, now retired, interviewed Joe Caronna at his home the same day her body was discovered.
I noticed on his forearms 10 to 15 faint bruises. They were bluish, purplish in color. They were round.
Now, as I said earlier, the trial is still going on. We'll have the very latest tonight at 10. If Joe Caronna is convicted, he could spend life in prison. Reporting live in downtown Memphis, Jackie Orozco, ABC 24 News.